Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, being voted most likely to return in your prison graduating class. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. So, Trevin,
Yeah.
tell us, what's dreadful about your week?
Actually, it's not just my week.
Uh-oh.
It's my day.
Oh, okay.
So Emily and I decided to do a very nice thing, and we took my future nephew out to see the Spider-Man exhibit.
Ooh, how was it?
It was lovely, but I want to talk to all of my fellow non-parents out there.
Okay.
I think there's been this shift in the way we talk about having kids and stuff like that.
Okay.
The people like me, not people like you. I think there are times where we will kind of romanticize that parental feeling of being like, oh, it's probably so nice for you to see the shine in a child's eyes when you have Christmas morning or something like that. And so it kind of makes people like us think, are we wasting away? Like, are we doing the wrong thing? Are we not spreading the seed? And I just want to say to all of you people out there that are like me, no. Don't get too caught up in that, because Emily and I took a kid to Union Station, and I'm going to tell you this. This has nothing to do with the kid.
Okay.
The kid was an angel. He was quiet. He never had a problem with anything. But the second that kid got in the back of my car, I was carrying a much different kind of weight with me.
Oh, yeah, bro.
It's like an emotional anchor is stuck to your hip. That if you make the wrong move, if you do the wrong thing, that's like precious cargo right there. And it's not even your own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my driving feels weird. I can't just walk through Union Station all willy-nilly. I got to make sure this kid's still with me. Mm-hmm. We're not like that cool. So it's like, you're 9. I don't think we hold hands, but I don't know if you veer off. Like, he kind of veers off a little bit. And so it's like, well, how do I wrangle you? Like, I was thinking about getting in a basketball stance and kind of just circle him in away from people.
Oh, my God.
I just didn't know what to do. Also, I got to say, I was telling myself, I need to take a kid to the Spider-Man thing because I'm an adult and Emily probably doesn't care that much about Spider-Man. But there's a big exhibit in the Union Station in Kansas City right now. Really cool. The art is really neat.
Yeah, I want to go.
It's cool. But there's a lot of reading involved.
Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily a thing you have to bring a kid to. You just kind of felt like you had to.
I kind of felt like I had to. And that was a limitation put on by myself.
Yes.
That's a thing that I should not have done. They had the Spider-Man Far From Home when he wore the Night Monkey outfit. They had the actual outfit that he wore from the movies there.
Oh, wow.
They had the exact Spider-Man suit that I believe was in the first Avengers he was in.
No way.
Yeah, and it was like on a mannequin that stood the same height too. So I was like, hey, I'm taller, obviously, than Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah.
But because I had a kid with me, I was kind of stuck with the kid's attention span with it. And I didn't get to read half that shit. Mm-hmm. It's like I paid full price, but I didn't get full experience because I had to also make sure this kid was having a nice experience.
You are really, really preaching the truth. I mean, there's nothing that you have said so far that I disagree with by any means. I think that for those out there who don't have children, I don't care if you never want to have children, or maybe you do in the future, just not right now. But everyone out there, enjoy the freedom. Don't be worried about the twinkle in the Christmas morning eye. that can either come or it won't. I mean, that's what I did. Before I had kids, I didn't worry about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always wanted it, but no, I just lived. And that's what I recommend to everyone. Don't think the grass is greener. There are challenges and there are gigantic blessings on both ends, okay?
Yeah, I say to anybody who doesn't have a kid yet, if you get that itch, like you feel like you're wasting away and not doing the right thing, take the thing that you like are the most excited about and do that for a little bit. Like spend a few hours on it. I don't know, if you're a photographer, go take a picture, go do something and just see how it made you feel to make that. Because you probably won't be able to spend a ton of time on it, I would imagine.
Yes. What's interesting is actually this crime story that I'm going to tell later on in the episode. Usually never talk about them right now, but this was one of the first ones that I was able to write in one setting. That never happens for me, ever. And the only reason I did it is because it was just so easy and it just kind of was one of those stories that just flew out of me in a night. But yeah, when you have a kid, the timing's different. You have to prioritize needs differently. I mean, it's a huge shift.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I like just enjoying myself, you know?
And please do. If you never have a kid, it is okay. It really is. And guess what? If you do have them, I'm here to tell you it's going to be so amazing too. But both options, there are pros and cons, okay?
Yeah, I think any part of life can be beautiful if you just seize it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could be a great dad or I could be a great not.
Exactly. It's whatever you want to do. If you want kids, have them. If you don't. I had to really think that one through for years for myself, and I'm glad I did. Take that time and decide. I am more than happy with my choice, but I also have nights where it's Jordan and I on the couch, and I'm like, wow, life would be so much easier without kids, and I'd have so much more money and time. And he's like, yeah, I know. And then we're like, but we love them, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I also have a dreadful dilemma this week, and it's pretty funny because it has to do with one of my children.
Oh, great. The parenting problems.
The Screw Kids episode. No, mine's a little more lighthearted. So we did this thing with Lila when she was a baby, and she was my first. I didn't really know what to do, as most new parents, but I remember she was in a daycare because I was still working part-time, and they were teaching the babies sign language. So before they could actually talk, they could tell us what they wanted a little better, right? So they taught them more, and they taught them all done and everything.
And the poop with the thumb, isn't that what, like, you squeeze the thumb?
I don't know that one. Oh my God, is that a real thing?
Maybe. I thought that was. Maybe it was like Meet the Fockers or something like that.
Oh, I don't know about all of that. The only things I retained were more and all done. Because I just want to know, do you want more food or not? Really is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. So we taught this to Winnie girl. And reason it is dreadful because let me tell you, it is so damn cute. I mean, adorable as hell when she does the more sign language sign, okay? But the reason it is dreadful is because she has never, not once, not even one time, not even tried to say all done. Never, not one time. She always says more.
She's a woman who demands more.
Oh my God. And now it's become like a game to her because she'll say it not even when we're talking about food. Like there was one time I changed her diaper and she just kind of looked at me and started laughing. She went, and I was like, more? What? You want more diaper change? And then she'll do more toy or more tickling her belly. She just is constantly asking for more now. It's gotten really out of hand.
Can she talk much? Or you said she doesn't talk much?
She's kind of starting. I mean, she can say like, hi, Dada, and Mama, and Lila, and Papa. And she talks to all of us, and she'll say, hi, and stuff like that. And she'll say bye, and she knows how to wave. But no.
More could be one of her next ones, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it's been very dreadful having my little 1-year-old continuously asking for more and then laughing. I really never know when she's all done. I really don't. So it kind of backfired.
Sounds like you need to instill some discipline into her.
Oh, do I?
She needs to know when she's done. It's good to get started early.
Yeah, everyone sign up for Trevin's parenting class. Oh my God, I love it. So today we are going to be doing some killer facts.
Hello?
We've traced the facts. They're coming from inside the house.
Killer facts.
Yes, and it's your week, and I have high hopes for you this week.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Someone's got to.
So don't fuck it up.
So, Trevin, are you familiar with a fellow that goes by the nickname of the human speed bump?
I have not.
Well, you're about to. So, also known as his given name, which is Tom Owen from Birmingham, Alabama, this bodybuilder claims to have unique abdominal muscles that can withstand large amounts of weight. Still not ringing any bells?
Yeah, okay. I think I've seen stuff on him.
This next thing I'm about to say, I was wondering if you've heard of this. So, at the age of 63, he was featured on Stan Lee's Superhuman show.
Okay.
Did you ever watch that?
I'm aware of it, but I never really watched
okay.
it. It was basically like a Marvel branded Ripley's Believe It or Not.
At the age of 63, he was on that show, which this morning I wanted a little more information and I found the episode and had my daughter Lila watch this part with me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had her watch it and take notes for you to follow.
Okay, Lila, mommy needs a nap.
I'll pay you $5. Watch this for me.
No. So on the show, he showed grown men jumping on his stomach, punching him in the gut at full strength, and had a full-size pickup truck run over his abs, all without injury.
Now, this is probably obvious, but the truck was going over very slowly, right?
It was going quicker than I thought it was going to go. And he did also have this ramp thing on either side
So it doesn't
of
like
his
tear
body.
his skin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
that's smart.
I mean, the sides is not what he's claiming, right? Like his organs and all that. He's just saying, my ab muscles
That's
are
good.
so
Yep.
strong, I can withstand the weight of this, you know? So, yeah, he has this little ramp. I was like, are these ramps higher than he is and blah, blah, blah. But no, I watched it. Like you could tell this truck was going over this guy. Okay. Soon after that was filmed in Milan, Italy on April 26th of 2009, he achieved a Guinness World Record, which we all know I love.
Yep.
And it was for most vehicles to run over the stomach.
Just like continuously?
I guess that is the most specific thing ever, but I mean, I guess it kind of has to be.
Yep.
So ultimately, 9 pickup trucks ran over Tom, each weighing between 3,000 and 4,000 kilograms, or approximately 8,000 pounds.
Yikes. God, he's got to have some sort of internal issues, right?
You know how at the beginning I said he claims to have unique abdominal muscles and all of that? So in the Stan Lee's Superhuman show, and I wish that they would have gone more into depth. And honestly, there's not a lot of articles about this guy either. I only found a couple articles. Everything I wrote down, that was all in my own words because I just got little tiny bits of facts about this guy. There was nothing really written about him. There wasn't like a Wikipedia page. There was nothing really. But in that show, he did point to his muscles and he was like, look, I have this extra weird muscle in the middle of my stomach. And I wish they would have had a doctor look at that part and like tell us if that was actually true. Because they had another scene in it where they had a doctor do this ab crunch test with him. And it wasn't that he was super strong with his crunching. It was just that his muscles were so thick. When he was able to blow air out or whatever he was doing, yeah, it was able to somehow create enough pressure.
Weird.
But I'm like, does he have an extra muscle up in there? Because it did show an outline of a really weird, skinny, long muscle in the middle of his stomach. And his belly button was super weird.
That's just surprising that if that was in an episode of that, they would usually pan away to a doctor and be like, it's really interesting that he has this thing. You know, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, is this just a theory? Can we look into this more? None of the articles talked about it. Like, what's going on?
What if he was full of shit and they're just like, we don't want to embarrass him. Let's just let him tell people he has an extra muscle.
Let's just, yeah. Like he just has a weird looking stomach. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it makes him feel cooler.
I mean, the more you have trucks run over your gut, the weirder it's going to look.
Yeah, this is just swelling.
Maybe.
Well, I have a killer fact for you.
Okay.
And It has to do with a court case.
Ooh.
And I know we all love a good court drama.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Nix versus Hedden?
I don't think so.
That's Hedden as in Hedden.
It doesn't ring any bells.
So a brief explanation would be that Nix v. Hedden was a Supreme Court decision that decided 9-0 that the tomato should be classified as a vegetable rather than a fruit.
Whoa! When did this happen?
1893.
Okay.
So you ready to hear about this?
Yes, I am. Tomato.
Coming to you from npr.org.
Trustworthy. Love it.
In the 19th century, the U.S. Supreme Court faced a ridiculous question. Are tomatoes fruits or vegetables? At the time, the Port Authority of New York classified tomatoes as vegetables, which were subject to a 10% import tax. And this is why we have this.
Oh.
A fruit importer argued that tomatoes were fruits, which were not taxed. So he was wanting to bring in his tomatoes without being taxed. In the case, witnesses read from dictionaries. They read the definition for fruit, the definition for vegetable. These were read in court with the argument. It's like, now see here, I believe this is a fruit, and here's why.
Oh my God.
They also read the definition for the word tomato, the word pea, as in the little green peas, eggplant, cucumber, squash, and pepper. I guess those were also brought in question. They're like, hey, if we're going to question tomatoes, we need to bring squash into this too. You're not getting out of this squash. I don't really get it.
Oh my God.
In the Supreme Court decision, the justices distinguished between science and everyday life. The justices admitted that, botanically speaking, tomatoes were technically fruits. But in everyday life, they decided vegetables were things, quote, usually served at dinner, in, with, or after the soup, fish, or meats, and not like fruits, generally as desserts, end quote.
Or at breakfast. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, that's true.
But whoa, I never even thought of it like that. I've had fruit at dinner. I've had vegetables at breakfast, but I am also a weirdo, I guess.
I'm a weirdo too, and I do have vegetables with breakfast.
Yeah.
So they said under customs law, Supreme Court ruled tomatoes counted as vegetables, even though scientifically speaking, fruit. But under everyday life, which isn't that just the most American thing you've ever heard of?
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's like an alternative fact sort of thing. It's like, okay, we get it. Tomatoes are fruits, but daddy needs his money.
Yeah, they're like, no, I kind of want that tax.
And I'm here to say it too. I don't care what you want to say about science. I think a tomato should be a vegetable. So just let it be a vegetable across all boards instead of telling me the difference between scientific life and everyday life. They should be the same thing, don't you think? We could be talking about more than just a tomato right now, really.
I know. We could go very deep, Trevin. It is interesting, though, because when you're re-looking up your information right there, I had that tomato trial, and then you're telling me basically there was a whole other tomato trial just to kind of classify it to see if it could be taxed. That's bonkers. Tomatoes have been on trial more times than we have.
What was that meme back in or that wasn't a meme, that YouTube video back in the early 2000s, the leave Britney alone.
Leave the tomatoes alone.
That's what we need.
Yeah, dude. Leave them alone.
I mean, I think we're like 150 years too late.
We're far too late, but don't get it twisted. Don't come for them ever again, okay?
I think they've had enough.
Well, you know what I can't get enough of, Trevin?
Tomatoes.
Ads.
I would rather have an ad than a tomato. So.
Love a good mystery that leaves you wanting more? Check out my podcast. Hi, I'm Kadra, the host of Perplexity, a mystery podcast. On my podcast, you can get everything from true crime to disappearances, to cults, to cryptids, psychological phenomenon, and of course, the paranormal and unexplained. I release new episodes every Thursday, and you can listen anywhere podcasts are available, or you can even watch on YouTube. Perplexity, a mystery podcast. Stories that will be sure to leave you perplexed.
So I have a story from the news, and kind of like I was saying earlier, for some reason it may be one of my more favorite recent stories.
Ooh.
I hate to say my favorite because then there's just so many.
It also sucks to call your shot like that before you read it.
Yeah. Because what if I just totally stutter? What if I projectile vomit in the middle of this? Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it was one of my favorites, at least to write, maybe I should say. It came out very quickly. So let's just jump right in, and here we go. It is honestly amazing just how much power we all hold with a simple grip of a hand and push of a finger. I'm not referring to shooting a gun or voting for your favorite American Idol contestant. Oh no. The power I'm talking about is taking the perfect selfie. It may sound preposterous to consider a selfie to be important, but hear me out. How many couples do you know who met online? Do you think they would be together if one of them hadn't posted a somewhat decent selfie?
Hideous. Swiping right.
Think of all the MLMs you've almost joined because a former classmate of yours posted a beaming selfie with their latest product.
I suddenly feel passionate about health shakes.
Even our show has been affected by selfies, with one of our past petty criminals snapping one at the crime scene, and another who sent one in to the cops because he hated his mugshot. These images taken of oneself may very well be the reason modern-day society continues on as it does. But if all of that still didn't convince you of the impact selfies leave behind, then have I got a petty crime story for you. Shelby Peters was an introverted 24-year-old woman living in Bonita Springs, Florida in 2022. And like every single person in 2022, Shelby desperately needed a good selfie to find love. She tried experimenting with new filters and even propped her phone up on a ladder above to get a flattering angle. But it was no use. None of her selfies were good enough to pass a swipe test. With all of her energy focused on images of her own face, Shelby had forgotten about the literal hurricane raging just outside her front door. Hurricane Ian was a Category 5 storm, and authorities were urging residents to evacuate. Shelby, however, took her time gathering up some belongings, drinking White Claws, and snapping multiple selfies as she packed. Stepping outside to leave, the strength of the wind and rain had really surprised Shelby, as it almost knocked her over. But this didn't mean she refrained from capturing more awkward portraits on her cell.
This lighting sucks!
Shelby screamed over the catastrophic winds. Defeated, she climbed inside her car and away from the stormy beach. Each stoplight became a photo op for Shelby, but no matter how far she drove, the images remained gloomy and depressing. She thought of all the fictional online lovers she would never meet without the right selfie, as she gripped the steering wheel and held back tears. But just when all hope was lost, the clouds parted, allowing the most pure beam of sunlight to peek through them. This was the most magical lighting she had ever seen. This was the lighting of a once-in-a-lifetime selfie. Determined on getting the shot, driving took a back seat in Shelby's mind. Eyes on her camera and hands off the wheel, she didn't see the checkpoint ahead, full of local deputies assisting with hurricane relief. Whizzing through the checkpoint at high speeds, Shelby ignored the screams of the almost hit officers and continued to pose at her cell phone screen. But in her hustle to reach it, Shelby had drove past the beautiful beam of light. She slammed on her brakes, pulled a quick U-turn, and quickly made her way back towards the direction of the checkpoint. The deputies had just narrowly escaped death from Shelby's destructive driving when they noticed her vehicle rapidly approaching again.
Holy shit, she's coming back!
Surviving another close call with her car, one of the deputies got into his patrol car to apprehend the reckless driver. With sirens approaching, Shelby continued to drive erratically, slowing down, speeding up, and swerving out of her lane, only paying attention to capturing her face digitally.
So hot.
Once her driver's side was immersed in the heavenly glow, Shelby stopped her car and held up her phone in front of herself. She stopped her arm, holding it firm, as she tilted her head to one side and took a single selfie. The moment wasn't savored, however, as she heard the deputy parking behind her, calling for backup and exiting his vehicle. Scrambling to look at her latest image before the officer approached her, Shelby clicked on the selfie to examine it. But to her horror, she realized that she had blinked. On Sunday, October 16th, 2022, Bonita Springs, Florida deputies established a checkpoint at Hickory Boulevard and Kings Coup to assist with Hurricane Ian relief efforts. However, things turned even more dangerous when local 24-year-old woman Shelby Peters sped through the hurricane checkpoint at 12:30 a.m. The sheriff's office stated that this move alone put the deputies' lives in danger before she made a U-turn and drove back through the checkpoint at high speeds a second time. A deputy then tried to pull Shelby over, but she continued to drive erratically. When she finally stopped, the deputy called for backup and witnessed her take a selfie before driving off yet again. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was also in the area, assisting with storm relief efforts at the time, and ultimately helped detain Shelby. She was later charged with 2 counts of fleeing and eluding, driving under the influence, and curfew violation. Sheriff Carmine Marcino was quoted saying, "This is yet another example of how teamwork led to putting a criminal behind bars where they belong. This woman's actions behind the wheel show that she truly has no regard for the safety of others." Now, do you believe the power of capturing the perfect selfie? I'm sure it doesn't seem like such an innocent pastime for egotistical people anymore, does it? There are real consequences with each and every photo we take of our own face, staring back at ourselves. Each click potentially causing another petty crime. So lock your phones and hide your face, because another average selfie just isn't worth the risk.
I never risk an average selfie.
Do you even take selfies, like, ever?
Every once in a while, but not a whole lot. I don't like people to see me trying.
Yeah.
I think it's such a weird thing to see somebody in the act of taking a selfie.
Really? What if they're in a group of people, though? Still weird
Still
for you?
feels weird.
Because I'm definitely that way.
Oh,
I'm
you're
like,
shameless.
Oh, I have such little amounts of shame in my game. I'll be like, okay, everyone, get together and pose for the scrapbook.
Yeah, that's what you do. You herd everybody together and you just make it happen.
The amount of pictures I've made you take for our Instagram page.
Oh, yeah, for our show, for groups. I mean, even when we were just starting off being friends, you're like, oh, we had a great night. Everybody take a picture. I'm like, what?
I know.
Who cares?
I know.
I have the moment.
I care, damn it.
Honestly, I admire it about you. It's not a thing I hate. I
That
wish
I'm
I could.
shameless?
I wish I could borrow a tad bit more of it. You know.
Yeah. So what did you think of that, Trevin?
Okay, so she really was doing the U-turn for better lighting, or did they actually ask her?
I have zero idea what the heck was going on. Basically, all we know is exactly what the charges were and what the deputies say that she did. So basically, they were setting up They had this little checkpoint. She came flying through. They saw her trying to take selfies. Okay, so like the whole selfie thing is completely true. Now the lighting, honestly, I'm trying to connect the dots for this girl. I don't know where her head was at.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's hard to make a backstory that makes sense.
It's so bizarre. And so she speeds through it. She does a U-turn. She speeds back through, almost hitting them.
And doesn't even notice they're there.
It's either she doesn't notice it. She did get DUI. I only briefly touched on the White Claw thing at the beginning. I don't know if that's what she was drinking. I wanted to throw that in there because that was part of her crime. And I guarantee that affected her driving and her decision making. But I don't know. This just felt like a more fun route to be like, she just got really drunk and just was kind of going crazy driving everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like she was capturing the lighting.
I mean, the selfie thing alone is an easy thing to grab and pull into the story like that.
Yes. So exactly what I said, the deputy said, where as soon as she pulled back away, one guy got in his patrol car, chased after her. She stopped briefly, took a selfie, drove off again. And then that's when the other guys that were in town had to get involved as well because they were helping with the relief of the hurricane and everything. So luckily they had extra people because they had to chase this selfie-taking woman all around. But eventually she pulled back over, stopped taking selfies, and stopped running from them. And she was charged with all of that.
Do you want to know what the most criminal thing about this is?
Oh, God, what?
This person could have went so viral if she just would have used those selfies and released them and been like, oh, remember when I did that stupid thing and kind of ran from the cops and took a random selfie? Here it is.
I know.
She would have been an influencer.
I have her mugshot. That's all I have to go off of. She looks kind of like a deer in a headlight, which I can't really blame her. I guarantee most of us would if we were getting a mugshot taken and we were under the influence. But that's really all I had. I would have loved to see the selfie. Like, was it worth it, girl? No, it was not.
No.
But yeah, I don't know what her motivation was. It was probably that she was just really drunk and maybe she got lost. Maybe she was trying to leave for the hurricane, but she was drinking, so she got confused and didn't see people. There's so many things. I just thought this was the best way to do it.
Oh, we also stopped in the middle of the story just so we do say something about it for anybody who got caught off guard with this.
Yes.
So the curfew thing, we assume is something that has to do with the hurricane.
Yes.
And maybe you don't go out at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. I do remember something briefly when I did the Michael Myers during the hurricane story.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they had a curfew as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe. I'm not 100%. So I'm thinking the curfew thing was strictly just because of the hurricane and you're not supposed to be out maybe past a certain time in a certain location.
Listeners who live on coastlines, send us an email, littleLaughLarceny@gmail.com, or go through the website. Let us know.
Oh my God.
I'm
We
curious.
just got a few recent write-ins from our website where people have been like, hey, I was listening to your last episode and they actually helped us figure out certain things. I remember on one of our recent episodes, we were talking about, what do you call
a man widow?
A man widow, yes.
Yes. Listener Tracy emailed us in and said a man widow is a widower.
Yes.
Which then I said, I was kind of thinking that when we were talking, but widower sounds like one who widows. So I thought that sounds like somebody who makes somebody into a widow. Which then Tracy just said, no, that's called a murderer. So I was going to actually call that out at the end of the show, but hey, we brought it up organically.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm so glad. Yeah. So definitely that's another way to contact us. I'm glad to see that option is working.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep on keeping on.
The problem is the way our show works with the production, you might not get a response back from us in show for quite a while.
Yes, that is to be expected.
But we get there.
So I will definitely share her mugshot on our Instagram post for the selfie queen herself in my story. But yeah, pretty ridiculous.
I love it. Did it for the gram. Did it for the gram. So I have a story for you and everyone else who's listening. And I'm going to touch on a little bit about how we get information.
Oh, God.
So let's jump in and see if we can spot some things we don't trust. And here we go. Throughout history, we have been at the mercy of unreliable narrators. The text and information provided to us as fact is always skewed based on perspective and recollection. From your child embellishing the memory of the family dog everyone hated,
He was the best boy.
to history books making the Trail of Tears seem like a peaceful
The
exchange.
kind white Americans asked the natives nicely to give up their land.
A story can be mistold due to misremembering or a personal agenda. Because of this, we should always take our information with a grain of salt. There's nothing more healthy for the soul than questioning what you're being told. That is especially true if you're feeling unsure about something. It's no coincidence that the word history is a combination of his and story. Damn patriarchy. So let's take this concept to a smaller level. We don't have to make everything as big as the memory of a dead person or the guilt of an entire nation. Let's try to remember something as simple as dinner last night. Assuming you didn't eat alone, think about it. It may be something like this. I sat down with my husband to enjoy the dinner that I worked hard to prepare. He seemed distant and unresponsive, which really made me look forward to my dessert wine I'm hiding in the bathroom cabinet. This would be a totally normal way to recall the dinner. But let's add a wrinkle to the evening. Let's add in the husband's perspective. I sat down to eat with my wife, but I mainly did it to be polite. She doesn't know, but I saw her open mouth sneezing into the pot of linguine while it was cooking. She kept staring at me with those wine-stained lips. I ashamedly took one bite before excusing myself. See how the story changes? Our unique experiences and perspectives can really change how a story is told, making the truth that much harder to find. Today's story is about a few different stories and shows how we should really look at our narrators just as closely as we look at the stories themselves. So enjoy yourselves, but be careful what you believe. Multiple out-of-time sirens echo off the many walls. People running in all directions and bellowing screams make the bed of sound beneath the many beeps of EKG machines. You've just entered the emergency room of a medical drama. Here, the people are beautiful, the drama is plentiful, and miracles, well, they are possible.
I need butt cream. Stat!
After performing a perfect tracheotomy for a rare bee sting survivor, Dr. Hunk Sterling is pulled out of the operating room and into the hallway. I can't stop thinking about last night, Hunk, Dr. Sonia Winterbottom said. But now is not the time. I have a convenient emergency that is going to leave our situation in limbo for a bit longer. Get in there and help your next patient. The always dutiful Dr. Hunk grabbed his clipboard and entered room 69. Good evening, Mr. Ferris, the man-meat and scrub said to his patient. My fancy doctor file says that you have been shot. Where's the blood? Mr. Ferris slowly rocked back and forth, giving off a sense of nervousness. I was wearing a bulletproof vest, the man squeaked out. Being no stranger to the lifestyle of living in a medical drama, Dr. Hunk pressed his forehead against Mr. Ferris's, preparing for a flashback. My God, what is your story? Hunk asked, as the story faded back to Mr. Ferris's past. I was paid $200 to protect the asset for a rendezvous in the woods. Around 10 p.m., we made it to the heart of the forest, where the man was waiting. As we approached, someone got spooked and gunfire broke out. Hit me 6 times, but I was able to drive the bastard back with a little return fire of my own. With his fate unknown, I was able to escape with the asset and get us both out of there. After he dropped me off at my car, I disposed of the weapons and drove myself here. My bulletproof vest caught all of the bullets, but one of the spots bruised really badly, and it hurts when I breathe. Dr. Hunk stepped back, wiping Mr. Ferris's sweat off his forehead. We will fix your boo-boo. You've been through enough tonight. As the nurses prepped the OR to ice Mr. Ferris's boo-boo, Dr. Hunk stepped out to grab Dr. Winterbottom. Sonia, Dr. Hunk said, I too can't stop thinking about last night. With the two face-to-face, they could finally express the feelings they had been holding all shift. But before either of them could express any further, an unknown woman showed up. Hi there, my name is Mrs. Ferris. My husband is the one who got a boo-boo when he and his friends were taking turns shooting each other with bulletproof vests. Dr. Hunk had to pick his well-chiseled jaw off the hospital floor. You're not talking about that hero in there that took 6 shots trying to save an asset for $200, are you? He yelled, standing up for the honest man he met earlier. My husband? The humored wife asked. The only asset he protects is the ass he sets in his lazy boy recliner. I don't think he could find his way back from the fridge, let alone a trip from the woods. I'll tell you what I saw. I came home from Dollar General. They were having a sale on the off-brand Grand's biscuits that I can't get enough of. So I get done putting away 36 of these biscuit tubes. My arm is throbbing from all of these biscuit tubes I just put away. And out of the corner of my ear, I hear my dumbass husband out on the porch, drunk, with Chris, saying stuff like, I'll shoot you in the bulletproof vest if you shoot me. The two extremely hot doctors put their own dramatic feelings aside, waiting for the woman to go on. So I'm pouring myself a Moscato and lighting up a stogie, because I know my husband. He threw out his back last month trying to open a jar of mayonnaise for me. That's my knight in shining armor. Anyway, I'm eavesdropping, and the next thing I know, bam! Gunshot rings out. Followed by my husband shouting, Ah! That hurt, you fucker! And all of that. Well, being the petty little prick that he is, my husband cocks his pistol back and says, Have a taste of your own medicine, before firing off 5 shots into Chris's back. They both end up writhing in pain, hugging it out and having a few more beers. It was a pretty typical night. I only sent him up this way because he had been having some lingering pain in his chest. Dr. Hunk signaled Mrs. Ferris to follow him, as they both walked to her husband's room. As soon as the doctor and the wife entered, Mr. Ferris knew he had some explaining to do. Listen, Mr. Ferris, Dr. Hunk said. I'm the main character of this medical drama, and it's important that I know the ethical and moral dilemmas that all patients are going through, just as well as the medical. But not only do we heal bodies here, Mr. Ferris, we also heal souls. Mr. Ferris swallowed his pride and conceded to his wife. Everything she said is true. I'm not some kind of secret agent who charges extremely affordable prices. I'm just a drunk nobody. Dr. Hunk waved in the police officer who had been listening from the doorway. In April of 2019, 50-year-old Charles Ferris arrived at the Mercy Hospital in Rogers, Arkansas, complaining of chest pain from a gunshot bruise through a bulletproof vest. In his original statement to the hospital, Mr. Ferris had been paid $200 to escort a person that he called the Asset into the woods of Hobbs State Park. When another party arrived, gunfire was exchanged between the two, leading Mr. Ferris to receive 5 gunshots in the back and 1 in the chest. However, not long after the statement was taken, the man's wife had arrived at the hospital, stating that he and his friend had been drinking and shooting each other in bulletproof vests, debunking the state park asset mission. Charles Ferris and his friend, 36-year-old Christopher Hicks, were arrested in connection with aggravated assault, a Class D felony. The official statements and headlines read, Rogers men shoot each other while wearing bulletproof vests. They had become a viral meme and mascots to the redneck community. But in this strange case, the headlines and hype had completely overshadowed the truth. While news websites and social media profiles were racking up impressions on clickbait articles about the 2 men who shot each other in bulletproof vests, Christopher Hicks was pleading his case. In Hicks's version of the story, Ferris had shot him in the back 5 times, but after Hicks refused to shoot his friend back, Ferris put the vest on and shot himself directly in the chest. Ferris eventually came forward and confirmed Chris's story, stating that he did, in fact, shoot Hicks in the back 5 times before shooting himself in the chest. In August of 2020, over 1 year after the arrest, Christopher Hicks had his case of aggravated assault dismissed. On a not-so-happy note, not only was Christopher Hicks wrongfully arrested for a crime he didn't commit, he was also a victim of excessive force on the initial booking. Due to the popularity of the crime and the knowledge that Mr. Ferris was a veteran, one of the Benton County jail deputies threw Christopher Hicks to the ground and broke his arm because he, quote, liked to shoot veterans. Although Hicks did get his charges dismissed, he does leave the whole ordeal with a disability he didn't have before. I could not find any information on whether Christopher Hicks sought out justice on the excessive force or not. As for 50-year-old Charles Ferris, he pleaded guilty to aggravated assault and possession of a firearm by a certain person. He was placed on 5 years state supervised probation and sentenced to 27 days in the Benton County Jail. Well, that one took a turn, huh? To this day, if you look this crime up, you'll still get mostly headlines about the two guys shooting at each other. For comedy's sake, it could have been easier for me to have stuck with that. But I'm a serious journalist. I love to take the low-hanging fruit, bad puns, and dad jokes, but I never shy away from tackling a deeper emotional angle to a story. To me, this is a story about the lies we tell ourselves, and others, when it comes to our less than savory behavior. In initial interviews, Charles Ferris said he had lied about the $200 asset mission to save his friend Christopher from being brought into it. But somehow, the next version of the story had Christopher shooting Ferris in the chest. One can't help but wonder if that detail was added to save Ferris some embarrassment in the moment. Whatever the true motivations to that move were, Charles Ferris's attempt to help his friend just led to his friend getting his arm broken. I'm not going to tell you that you should always tell the truth. Sometimes lying can be fun and helpful. Feel free to tell the police that you're some kind of budget secret agent of the woods, but keep your tall tales to only things that make you look bad. We all know the whole sticks and stones saying. Yeah. Words will never hurt me. But if words are manipulating the people with the sticks and stones, I think it's time we start keeping a closer eye on the words we use.
Whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
From what I'm gathering, tell me if I'm onto this. So
I almost had to draw a diagram to get this right in my head. Because there were so many lies.
Yeah, so the original story was that him and his friend were on a mission.
So what he said in his original story was, I was paid $200 to do like a secret mission.
And like,
$200.
did he ever say what the asset was?
I think the asset was a person.
Oh.
That's how he explained it. It was a person being called the asset.
Okay.
So it seems like a Breaking Bad sort of thing. A thing Mike would do, like, oh, I'm going to follow this guy to this thing, make sure nothing happens.
Right.
And then we're going to leave.
Okay.
But apparently in a story, they met at a state park to do whatever, and things went haywire in the meeting, and then gunfire broke out like a Breaking Bad episode.
Yeah.
And he took 5 to the back and 1 to the chest, all wearing a bulletproof vest, so he's fine. They said the other ones didn't penetrate or do anything, but the one in the chest dented him pretty hard, and it bruised his chest, and it hurt when he would breathe.
Yeah.
So he goes to the hospital.
And his friend does not.
His friend does not. So when he goes to the hospital, he tells that story to say, this was me alone, my own mission.
And they're like, what the fuck ever?
Yeah.
Probably.
So then his wife shows up and says, my dumb, drunk husband. They're just one of those guys, which I think your husband's one of those too. If he had a bulletproof vest, he might have a little fun with it.
Oh, God.
So she says, these two drunk assholes always doing stuff, always up to no good.
Yeah.
They were shooting at each other in them. And she had said that her husband had got annoyed and fired back because the first one had originally hurt.
Okay. And that was inaccurate? Was that what she saw? She thought she saw? Or?
I think she was just assuming.
Okay. Yeah, because clearly that's not what happened.
And then this dude basically like signs off on it. He's just like, yeah, that's true. Whatever. It's over. He's like, I just didn't want to bring my friend into it because I didn't want him to get in trouble. Which the weird thing is, if you would have just told the truth, this is one of those overcorrecting moves.
Yeah.
If you would have just told the truth, the true story of what really happened, he says, hey, we should take turns shooting each other. He's already got the gun. The friend puts on the bulletproof vest because he's like, yeah, I want to do it. He shoots his friend like 5 times in the back. And he's totally fine. They're at a good distance from each other. Totally fine. He had also said, people want to make this story and like people laugh at me all the time. But he was like, this dude was in the military and he was sharpshooter good. I'm not even afraid he was going to miss my bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
So just to give that guy more benefit of the doubt. So anyway, he takes these 5 shots to the chest. He's like, okay, now me too. And he's like, I'm not as good of a shooter as you. I don't want to do this.
And he was not in the military.
From the way the story was told, he was not in the military.
You would think not because of how
he was treated later.
He was treated. So
he says, okay, now you do me. And then he says, well, I'm not as good of a shooter. I don't want to do it. I don't trust myself. You know, what if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
So then the guy's like, okay, fuck you, dude. Yeah, don't want to be my friend and shoot me back. So he gets the bulletproof vest, puts it on, and just puts the gun straight to his chest and pulls it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So the true story is that Ferris shoots his friend a bunch of times and turns around and shoots himself. The other guy, only thing he did wrong was just agreed to be shot.
Yeah, which definitely shouldn't have agreed to that. But.
Yeah. So for some reason, this guy goes in, his wife says they shot at each other. He just agrees to it, which is why I said I couldn't help but feel like maybe this guy is just kind of a dumb pushover-y kind of guy. And he's like, yeah, whatever my wife said, I don't know. It makes me look less stupid if I say I did it. Because he said that he had a residual pain because he'd shot himself like at least the distance of your arm. You know?
Like, my God, bulletproof vests are not supposed to be used for that.
Right. So that's why he tried to not bring his friend into it. But then the story ends up being printed that his friend Head did it, and then he gets arrested, and it takes over a year for him to not get punished for it. But there was still the initial arrest. And in the initial arrest is when somebody was like, you shot a veteran, you asshole. And then he breaks the dude's arm.
It's like, God, dude.
And they had said that they had broke his arm in a couple of places and his elbow was wired together or something like that.
Oh,
so he had said that he actually is a disabled person because of what has happened to his arm.
Oh, that's horrible.
And that's sad. And I know that we are the uplifting podcast, but it's like, I'm always going to be real about emotions and the actual weight of the situation.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many clickbait articles like, oh, two dumb people shooting at each other. The true story is just as interesting too.
That's so weird.
So I wanted to be about, these are the stories that we tell people and the stories we tell ourselves, because sometimes people are a bad narrator. Sometimes people embellish, and sometimes people are just pushovers and agree with things.
Oh my God. Yep. Just
those
like
have
they
consequences.
say. Yes. And just like they say, everyone has their own side and their own way of viewing a story. So either they're lying or twisting it or remembering it wrong or hoping it was wrong or, it's ugh. But wow, that is bizarre as hell.
I wonder if they're still friends. That's the thing I wonder the most.
Oh,
I'm sure they were still friends after it, especially, like after the actual incident, before the arrest, but after the incident. He's like, ow, my back hurts. Hey, we just had some fun. But I don't know, after getting your arm broken.
They better not be friends.
A year of trials and stuff.
Yeah, no. Come on.
I mean, I know you and I would never do this, but like, imagine you just wanted to test out a bulletproof vest. And I shot you on something, and then I was like, well, I want to have fun too. And you're like, I'm not cool enough. So I shot myself. Like, it would suck that the law would want to come in and say that we shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, it just really sucks that guy didn't get a fair shake in proving it before the arrest happened. They said that it took like a whole year to even get in front of a court for it.
Oh, yeah. These things take forever.
Yeah.
God.
The first story gets put in there quick, but then reversing it takes a while.
Updates on a lot of these crimes. It takes time, even for the silly stuff, guys. There's a lot to deal with.
Yes.
Wow. Connections. Is this going to be the second week? Gosh dang it, guys. Well, this is another one of those where we need some help.
Yes, please. I need a connection. I thought I had one, but my brain's just not there by the end of this recording.
I know. I'm like, well, if you think of one, please let us know. And I just hope that everyone out there is having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed and no longer romanticizing those friends of ours that are parents.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening. And make sure you tell more of your friends about our show.
And don't be a human speed bump to our online growth. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever been arrested while just trying to take the best selfie of your life, please let us know and send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And rate our show the way that the Supreme Court should have ruled the tomato thing. Just call it as it is. We're a 5-star show. Give us your stars at Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Good Pods. And here we go.
Oh, wow. That kind of had like a Edelweiss vibe to it.
I was thinking of the song.
Here we go.
Edelweiss. I was thinking of Only You Can Make This World Go Round. Like kind of sultry. Like soulful sort of song.
You got soul.
Only you